Got to talk about the Democratic National Convention, and we're going to get to the audio. We're going to go through it all. But my initial response, I'm very disappointed in Ocasio-Cortez. I know she nominated Bernie Sanders, which is a procedural thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of Democrats that are angry at her, not for doing that. A lot of people are angry at her that she didn't even mention Joe Biden. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. Bill Clinton's getting old. I got to say, folks, he was sitting down in a chair, not a lot of energy. Slick Willie is getting old. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Some really nice moments, though, last night. And I thought Dr. Jill Biden, who has appeared on this show, she appeared on this show a few months ago. I think she's a very nice woman. And I thought the love story between her and Joe Biden, how they met and how Joe Biden proposed to her 5 times and, asked her to be the mother of his 2 boys. Of course, the tragedy that took place with Joe Biden's first wife. Their love story is great. And I think about that, and I'm thinking to myself, will anyone talk about the love story between Donald Trump and Melania Trump? Was Donald Trump flipping through a magazine and he saw Melania's boobs in a magazine and said, I just fell in love with her from that very moment?
I think that's actually, that's possible.
It's possible.
I think that's maybe 30% possible.
I think so. Yeah. Maybe 25%. But what are they going to talk about? How Melania fell in love with Donald Trump's money? I mean, the two are just not comparable. The point I'm trying to make here is, the story between Dr. Jill Biden and Joe Biden is really awesome. It's a great story, and to me, that was a highlight. I'll tell you what the other highlight was. I've talked about this before, and one of the main reasons why Joe Biden ran for president this time around, I truly believe this. It's because of his relationship with John McCain, and it was Cindy McCain who talked a little bit about how, and we'll play the audio for you later on in the show, but she talked about how, John McCain and Joe Biden, they would get into screaming matches about politics, They would have so many disagreements on politics. But then that same night, they'd go out to dinner and start laughing with one another. That's the kind of stuff that we need in politics today. That's the kind of stuff that we need. And I wish Donald Trump was that guy, but he's not. To be able to have disagreements when it comes to policy, to be able to have disagreements when it comes to politics, but then hours later be able to laugh with one another and have a beer and have dinner. That was the relationship that Joe Biden and John McCain had. And I appreciate that, and I always have appreciated that about the late John McCain. And I've always appreciated that about Joe Biden. It's when I talk about humanizing Joe Biden, the good person that he was. And I just thought it was a nice moment. And make no mistake about it, folks, Colin Powell was a big deal yesterday, too. And he made some comments that we'll play a little bit later on in the show about Joe Biden and why he feels that Joe Biden will make a great commander-in-chief. Those are really good moments. I was a little disappointed in Bill Clinton, as not to use Donald Trump's terms, but I will here, low energy. I don't think Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, I believe Hillary's supposed to be speaking tonight. Obviously, they're a huge part of the Democratic Party.
That's very powerful.
But if I'm a part of the Democratic Party, I wouldn't have the Clintons involved. That's just my personal opinion.
Are you disappointed in Bill Clinton for having pictures of him released where he's getting a back massage from someone on Epstein's island that accused Jeffrey Epstein of rape?
So here's my response to that. And for any Trump supporter out there that wants to talk about this, I've talked about Bill Clinton in that way, the same way I've talked about Donald Trump, and I will say it as follows. I believe they are both rapists. I believe Donald Trump is a rapist. I believe Bill Clinton is a rapist. They're both womanizers. I believe they both treated women horribly in their lifetime. And by the way, those photos were not on the island. I just want to be clear on that one. That's not correct. But with that being said, no question.
Oh, I'm sorry, they were in Africa.
Yeah, they were not on the island. So with that being said,
but he got to Africa
they were at an airport
from that plane.
Those photos were at an airport. But again, if you're one of those people that is going to go after Bill Clinton for his sexcapades, you better do the same thing when it comes to Donald Trump. I'm just asking,
are you disappointed in him for that?
I'm disappointed in both of them.
Are you disappointed in the DNC hours after those photos were released for still allowing him to speak?
Well, I just said it.
Do you think that he shouldn't even have the opportunity to speak?
I don't think it's a good idea when you're talking about the character of Donald Trump, and by the way, rightfully so, because Donald Trump is an awful human being, make no mistake about it. I don't want to hear from Bill Clinton. I don't want to hear from. Now, listen, Hillary Clinton, she's not a pedophile. You can dislike her politics. Hillary, I could deal with. Bill Clinton should not have been a part of the Democratic National Convention, because what the Democrats are trying to do here, what they're trying to do
is move forward,
is go after Donald Trump. Right. With that being said, do I have full proof that Bill Clinton is a rapist or was part of Jeffrey Epstein's crew that molested children? No, I don't know that. Here's what we do know. That he was getting a shoulder rub with his clothes on So if people are going to be so disappointed by that picture, then guess what? They better be disappointed with Donald Trump and his sexcapades and having unprotected sex with a porn star months after his wife had Barron. So you see where I'm going with that. You have to be on both sides of the aisle here and be able to criticize both, which I have, by the way. Yes, I do think Bill Clinton, and we had one of his alleged rape victims on our show. Yes, I do.
Let's say that was Donald Trump in the exact same situation that Bill Clinton was in, where he's in Africa with a woman that had accused Jeffrey Epstein of rape, and he's getting a massage after being on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane. Would you think that there was something going on between that woman and Donald Trump?
It's not what I think, and I'll say it again, and I'll be very clear on this. I believe both. I put them both in the same category. Bill Clinton and Donald Trump are horrible human beings. I believe Bill Clinton and Donald Trump have probably committed sexual assault, and they're both terrible people. The difference, I will say, is that as a president, while Bill Clinton embarrassed the country with the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal, I believe Bill Clinton was a better president. He ended his presidency with a surplus. Bill Clinton was, bottom line, financially, and by the way, reaching across the aisle, he was a better president.
Let's be honest. Before COVID hit, poverty was down to 11% nationwide.
So you're comparing where the presidency
unemployment was down 35% where Obama left. And Obama did a good job. He left it at 4.7%. It was down to 3.3%, Brian.
Okay, so
the economy was outstanding pre-COVID.
All right. Well,
and Bill Clinton, in my opinion, he was probably the best bipartisan president in the last 30 years.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Both sides of the aisle did work together very well with him in office.